you need to build a community to sell anything.
The more you try and sell to someone, the more resistant they're actually going to be to actually making that sale. But just because it works for another brand doesn't mean I have to copy the same strategy. It might not work for me.
Depending on your bandwidth, of course, you can actually choose to post it every day, right? You can, or you might want to do it once a week, right? How do I put my magic masala into it?
It comes down to you bringing your brand of creativity or your brand of storytelling to a platform that already has a million other storytellers. Hi everyone, welcome back to the It's Rendering podcast. And as usual, we're talking about how we craft thoughtful experiences and how you can do that too. We've got Kalyan back again, as promised. We will be talking about consistency, but the next step of it, how to stay consistent. So Kalyan has been handling one of our client accounts on social media, not just one platform, but multiple different platforms for a year and something, I think.
Hi everyone, this is Kalyan. Dan introduced very nicely.
No, I don't think that was a good enough introduction, but fair enough. Anyway, so we were talking about consistency, right? And we just thought maybe we could take it a step further, not just talking about, okay, it's quality, being consistent with quality or, figuring out, go listen to the previous episode for takeaways and things like that. But maybe we'll talk about how to do that and how you do that, because I think you do that quite well. So what's your strategy? Not strategy, but how do you do it? Because it also comes down to planning, right?
So the first thing that on any platform this goes, so if you are planning to be consistent, you are launching a product, a brand, anything on your social, the primary task is to identify your collaborators, like the people that are in the same niche, probably are new. So make 3 tiers: tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. And then in the tier 1, all those people who are very new to the platform, same as yours. So in the last episode, we were giving the example of Indian hair grown brand. So me having a hair growth brand, probably I can go and make a list of probably 5 collaborators that are tier 1 who have just started maybe in the last 6 months.
When you say collaborators, are these other brands or are these like people who can, like, audience?
So no, not audience. So people usually say competitors, but I look at it differently as a collaborator, because in the future it's just helping you, having the same aim as the other people. If you have a brand that helping people grow their hair back, it's the same idea that 10 other brands have. And in the future you would actually have something to collaborate than competing head on. That's how I look at it. But,
you were explaining what tier 1 is, like people who are new, kind of.
New, very new, like probably 6 months and under 10k followers. And then brands that are tier 2 would be somewhat like 10k to 50k. And then tier 3 are brands that are much larger, that you can't really even reach out to.
Sorry, if you don't mind me asking, because we did talk about this, right? We were talking about, like, okay, how certain metrics matter over others depending on what you're trying to do. How much does follower count matter there when you're doing this exercise? Because I can very easily buy followers today, but that doesn't mean anything, right? On the contrary, because I've seen this, the city that we come from as well, or where you were for a while, there's this whole culture over there where it goes by numbers. I'm trying to be vague for a reason, but where brands don't realize that these follower count has nothing to do with engagement. They'll see 50k followers and then 5 people liking a post. They don't care about that. They see the follower count. So it also comes down to what you were saying, I think, like identifying this is a new brand. It's like, okay, 6 months old, whatever. It's not just follower count, right? I don't know how you're looking at it.
The whole intent behind this, I'm assuming you are asking about the intent, why we are dividing it into tiers.
Yeah.
Right. So the whole intent is that, of course, you can buy followers and do all of that, but then you need to build a community, right? You can't sell anything to anyone as a very new brand or as a nobody on any social platform. You need to build a community to sell anything, right? If I can buy bot followers, I can, like, in a month go to 100, can be like, oh, we got 100k and all of that stuff. But then in that 100k, how much are my views, right? Because at the end of the day, the views and the people who believe in the brand are the ones who will buy. So specifically, and most I'm particularly talking about brands because that's what we focus on, right? You won't be on a platform you wouldn't want to sell anything on. So even if you're an influencer, you are selling something at the end of the day, right? So that's why, of course, as an influencer, nobody wanna go and see how much likes you are getting on a post and all of that. Although there are tools that brands actually monitor that, by the way. So the last agency I was working at, they had this whole list and they would actually monitor how much engagement this person has. I think brands in there was this blog post, was it Sprout Social or Hootsuite? I don't remember. but they wrote about brands actually moving towards engagement and paying for the engagement rather than just posting. So in India, the rates are very sort of 10% ish rate. So if you have like some million, you will get for one single post, it's like 3 to 5 lakhs, depending on niche as well. So if you have like 3 crores, you are getting 3 lakhs. And big brands don't usually see what kind of following you have, how much engagement do you have. So that's one thing. But in 2024 and beyond, I think that's gonna change. If brands like PNG and stuff, they don't give a shit about how much you have, because at the end of the day, even if they are paying you 3 lakhs and they are making like maybe 4 lakhs, 5 lakhs out of that, the ROI is more than the spend. Of course, they will be happy, but that also depends on the influencers and what kind of
It
people
depends on
they
their
are
communities.
trusting their money
Like you were
with.
saying, you want to build a
Yeah,
community.
communities. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's one thing. So that's why we have to identify where we are and what tier we are at. And then after you have identified what tier you are at, you look at people who are one tier higher. So if I am at 0 follower today, I'd look at tier 1 and see, okay, this is a brand that is exactly at 10K. What content have they posted in last 90 days, and in that what has worked, right? I'll pick up maybe, so suppose in 90 days, let's assume they posted 90 contents, and not all 90 contents would be viral. Not even viral, not all 90 content would have good engagement or shareability kind of stuff. So putting aside all the moment marketing stuff, all the minute trends. So after you look at what they have done in the past 90 days, set aside all the trends, all the memes and stuff, and look at what people have shared, right? Like we were speaking about shareability, what shareability and watch time that the platform, all platforms actually value. So we look at that, we make a Excel sheet of, okay, these are the 10 ideas that they spoke about, and this is what they like. You break it down into the very minute kind of thing, right? Okay, this is what this is what this is. And then you go into tier 2, right? You look at maybe 15K, 20K, and then copy those content ideas. Okay, this is what they spoke about, this is what they have done. You will definitely find something or the other that's common between all these brands, right? There's no way that a brand at 20K isn't doing something that a brand at 10K is doing, and vice versa. So you pick that out, and then you also capitalize on that. Because if suppose you are sharing something with someone, and then someone is sharing something with the same content with someone else, right? Even maybe today I created that content and maybe someone else created that content, you might be sharing the same content, right? But then the idea is very same.
Yeah, so what you're saying essentially is the core idea or the actual theme of the
Yeah.
content might be the same, but it's your own flair on it. You're not
Yes.
advocating for the fact that we should just go and copy, like, oh, word for word.
Copy
That's
paste.
not
I'd never do
what's going
that,
to
of
work, right? What
course.
you're actually saying is like, okay, this is
Yes.
this is what's working out there on the market. This is what the audience is relating to. How does my brand
Yes.
fit into that?
So maybe you figured out 5 brands that is doing this idea. They are applying that, okay, hair hygiene is also important. Just not putting serum every day. Wash your hair maybe 3 times a week, and then they ask you to share it with a friend that does not wash their hair or does not take a bath. Let's just say.
I can think of someone.
So let's just say that. And then now you come up and you're like, okay, this is what brand A has done, brand B has done, brand C has done, brand D has done, and brand E has done, right? And then how do me as a brand, how do I put my own taste into it, right? How do I put my magic masala into it? If it has worked for 5 brands, that will definitely work for your brand as well. Does not matter if you are at 0 or if you are at 100K. We think, okay, this idea is a year old, maybe people are not looking for it anymore, right? But then a person who wants to grow their hair, they will definitely want to use that product, right? Even for that applies to services as well. We think, okay, this idea has been like 2 months old, and probably no one is looking for it. People are definitely looking for it, and if you add humor to anything, everything will be like, I wouldn't say fine, but humor works really well with most of the brands, unless you are looking at a brand that's very formal. And especially with Gen Z, humor is the way to go.
You were talking about how do you plan. You said you identify ideas from other brands, and if it's worked for them, it'll work for you.
Yeah.
But maybe just to understand how you do that, okay, fine, I've got ideas, but how do you plan like a content thing? I think you do calendars and all of that stuff also, right? So how do you actually execute that? Like, fair enough, I've got ideas, I know how I'm going to put my flair to it, if you will. How do you execute that?
It also depends on how consistent you want to be. Like we spoke about this in the last episode. So very briefly, consistent does not mean you post one stuff every day, but it also means that you do something at a very specific intervals with intent. That's what consistency is. right? So now talking about how I plan it, if you have a content idea, right, you make a 30-day content idea, or you identify 30 topics from probably like 5-10 brands, and then you combine that, you make an Excel sheet. Okay, this is what this is, these are the ideas that I have this
Should I
moment
ask
as a
ChatGPT
new
or
brand.
should I
I'm not.
not ask ChatGPT?
You
Okay.
can, okay, you can go to ChatGPT. You are a social media marketer for a brand that's selling hair growth serum. Here are 10 ideas. Can you give me more ideas similar to
Okay.
this?
So you are essentially giving it the initial bit. You're not just asking it to come up with all of your ideas for you.
Because again, that would be very generic and very trash. Because I don't know how other social media marketers use. Probably others are far more ahead than me. Maybe not. I don't know. But how I use it, like I give it a direction. Okay, this is my thought process. This is where you need to take me to. So there is, I'm at point A and I want to go to point Z, maybe through A, B, C, D, all those routes. These are my ideas, right? B, C, D, E, F, G. These are my ideas. Take me to
Right.
Z. That's how I tell ChatGPT, and that, I think that has helped me a lot, refining ideas into proper content. ChatGPT is one way, but before ChatGPT, we used to do it manually itself. There's no other way. And the other thing is, you can ask the public. That's mostly for educational content, not the humor wit kind of content. That's just for general ideas. So probably an idea could be how to grow my hair. How do you break it down to something that people will consume? It's very time taking. Rather, to take this route, it will be far more easier to
It's a tried and
include it.
tested route, right? Like you learning from
Yeah.
others also. Right.
Now talking about that part, how I plan it. So depending on your business goals, right, how much time you have, how much bucks you can put into making that reel, can you edit it yourself, can you shoot it yourself, depending on your bandwidth. Of course, you can actually choose to post it every day, right? You can, or you might want to do it once a week. Like very recently I was talking about this, that Adam, the head of Instagram, he came out last week and said that if you are a photographer and you do not shoot reels, it's okay. You can, of course, experiment with carousels and adding trending songs into it. Apart from that, you're free to post static pictures, right? That's how you express
Right.
yourself. On the other hand, if you're a comedian, if you're a musician, you cannot do it on a static post, of course. So because comedy of works in a vocal way. If you write it down, some comedy works in a written format, of course, but then people relate it when you
And it's
speak it
also
out,
to your
right?
point about shareability, right? Easier to share a comic reel than
Yeah.
it is to share a post. Yeah.
If you are a comedian or a musician, you use a reel to express yourself. You use videos to express yourself. And Instagram is one platform that is trying to balance it at this moment. I don't see Twitter trying to balance it. I don't see LinkedIn trying to balance it. But again, that might be just me. But with the clients that we work, it's that. So Instagram is balancing itself to be more focused on what users want, and then LinkedIn is catching up, trying to catch up similarly with Twitter. But YouTube is again a platform that is very focused on long form. It tried short form, it is not working yet for YouTube, although there are views, but people are still looking at long form than short form. So now you decide what you want to do, and then maybe you put 30 reels a day, 30 posts a day, or you try post out at one post a day and a reel a week, right, depending on
Right.
what you want. And then you focus on shareability primarily. That's what I am emphasizing on. And you will see that your brand grows. Right now, the exact planning part is depending on, so your first post could be something that's introducing yourself, and then there's pin future on Instagram, there's pin future on highlight on
Yeah.
Twitter, right? So you can use that to tell your audience what is it is about, and then you narrate for the next 30 days. You narrate your brand story, not just sell. I don't recommend anyone selling anything.
Yeah, people don't want to
Right?
be
There is
sold to.
this
I think we can find there's
yeah,
a survey that's been done or research paper, if I'm not wrong, about this. The more you try and sell to someone, the more resistant they're actually going to be to actually
they will
making
be.
that sale.
Yeah.
So it comes down to what you were saying also, like identifying the problem that your audience is facing rather, and giving them the solution to it. And you add yourself into the mix.
Yeah, you add your own masala to the mix. Yeah, exactly. And then how you narrate your story, how you want to narrate your story, it does not have to be hard and fast. That on day one you have to post about your brand, what you do, who you are, and on day maybe 5 you post about the products you have. It does not have to be that. Narrate your own story. You create your own story, and that's how people are gonna relate to you more. That's how you build a community. You can't be like, okay, I got this 10 content ideas, probably 30 content ideas, let's say, from 30 different pages. Let's just assume. And now that's not your own ideas, right? Even if you add your twist to it, it will be very haphazard on how you post it to your feed. You just think about, okay, this is my brand and this is the pain point that people have. Now, how do I connect these? So you create out a roadmap of how you want to do it. Me telling you to do something, or someone else telling you to do something, should not be something that you actually implement. You have to, and each brand is different, and that's why you have to experiment with what's actually working with your brand, and not just listen to anyone doing that.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point. It's like, okay, I've got my ideas from the market out there,
Yeah.
but just because it worked for another brand doesn't mean I have to copy the same strategy. It might not work for me, and in many cases, it probably won't, because people already are getting that strategy and that flow, that journey from someone else. Why come to you?
Yeah, exactly. You don't just copy anyone else's story. Create your own story. That's the whole idea behind, being your own fit. So if I have to or you have to come to my fit tomorrow, and you see me as a social media posting the same stuff, maybe not the same stuff with a different twist, and then someone else, some other social media guy posting the same stuff. How do you differentiate between what's what, and how do you actually prefer me over them or them over me? Right, that's at the end of the day, that's what people actually look for, right? So why Logan Paul or Carrie Minati, the comparison, right? Why should I follow Logan Paul, or why should I follow Carrie Minati? Now each of them have their own masala, their own thing that they do, but that's how they have created their own stories, right? They are not very, although they don't do the same stuff, but imagine Carrie being a boxer at this moment. How would they differentiate, right? That because their story is different. That how they have built in the past for this 10 years. I think Carrie has been there for 5 years now, 5 6 years. So how they have built their own story matters, and that's how you resonate as an audience to your community or to the person or the brand, right? So me telling you to do something that will not be, very effective of how you actually plan your feed or how you actually narrate your story. So for the clients that we've been working on, how we do it is we look at what are the objectives that they want to achieve, and then we tell them, okay, this is what's going to work, and then it's up to them. As an agency, I can't speak for what my client actually wants, but I can speak for, if I had my own page, what I would actually want to do, and that's how you narrate stories again.
No, thanks for
Right.
sharing that. I think that's very important, like crafting your own story. There's a book, I don't know if you've read it, but I've been recommending this for years to people. Steal Like an Artist, Austin Kleon. It
Yeah,
comes
yeah,
down to
yeah, yeah.
that, right? You're not original at the end of the day, right? Originality, what
Yeah,
is
no idea is
originality?
original.
But
Yeah.
in the first place, but it comes down to you bringing your brand of creativity or your brand of storytelling to a platform that already has a million other storytellers. Don't follow somebody else.
Yeah,
You do
yeah.
your own thing. And I think that's also very important. I know we didn't delve into like the details of like, oh, how do you, structure your content and figure that out. I mean, one of the points that you alluded to was like figure out the journey. It's not just
Yeah.
haphazardly putting out content that just because I got 30 ideas, okay, I just go through it that way. No, map it out, I think, on a calendar. And that's exactly what we've been doing also, right? Create an Excel sheet or use some tool online. I mean, there's so many out there today, or use whatever we have, affiliate link someday. But anyway, or yeah, map it out, see how that leads people from one step to the next, and don't be haphazard about it.
Yeah.
And then take it forward from there, and always review. Right? I think that's also very important. Don't be close to the idea that, oh, maybe this is not the direction I should be doing, taking another direction, whatever it is. So I know there's a lot more to discuss also over there. We've gone through our time like a hot knife through butter. But anyway, I think, I don't know if you have anything else to add before we just wrap up for now for this episode. But we'll have to do more later.
Okay, just one point before we wrap this up. Talking about the structure part, again, I think it's the same thing with the storytelling, right? This could be very useful for people who want to, structure their content in a very professional way. Is like now you have these ideas, you divide it into content pillars, content buckets. So maybe one bucket could be blatantly promoting your content. One bucket could be just memes and stuff, right? One bucket could be addressing the issues like the tools we talked about, why, how, and all of that. You put one bucket for that, and now you mix it up. You don't you probably you could post something, some FAQ, like these are all FAQs, right? How do I grow my hair? How do I grow my hair naturally? What serum is good for my hair? What ingredients in a serum is good
Yeah.
for my hair, right? These are all FAQs, right? So all these FAQs, so probably you post a FAQ on maybe Monday morning, right? just saying. You need to identify when your customers actually want to say it, or identify when they are online, right? Not just put it on the time that Sunday have it's Sunday and we post it. Not that, but then you actually identify when
Yeah,
it
and I
is
think
working.
initially for a small brand, it's the best guess initially, but after a certain point,
Yeah.
you actually get enough data to make those informed decisions. And if you're not looking at
Yes,
data,
yes.
honestly, what are you doing? But yeah,
Maybe starting you put out a content on maybe Sunday night, and then the feed. So every platform gives you feedback in the form of analytics, right? So you post out maybe a carousel on Sunday night, and then you post out a reel on Wednesday morning, and then maybe another on Friday evening. So that these are the buckets, right? So a meme would rather do best in the weekends than on work days, or maybe even on Mondays, because there's this thing called Monday blues. People don't like their Mondays. Maybe a reel on Monday would work much better for you than a static post, right? So you experiment with this all kind of stuff, and then you find out, okay, you posted maybe 30 reels a month, and then you have this whole data, how much time and when are the people online, on what days are they online, what time are they online, and then what worked on. Maybe you see consistently for all 4 weeks, you saw that memes worked best on Mondays than you posted on Wednesdays, right? And you saw that carousels work best on Saturday evenings than on Wednesday evenings, right? So you see, and then after you have got that data, you structure your post that okay, Mondays for memes only, Wednesday are for carousels only, and Fridays are for, I don't know, something else. And then you throw in other content ideas, or use experiment with other ideas. Maybe once a month you go out live. And okay, so there is this also thing about Instagram particularly, that stories, right? Stories are also important. So how do you use stories? What we usually do is like we build a brand and say, okay, new post up. That's it. That's just one. You post something a day, and then you say one story, new post up. So if you are building a brand, I think the most important part of it is connecting with people, and story is the best way to connect with people. Not reels, not post, feed posts, etc. The stories are the places to go, right? You show what the BTS. You show, okay, we have a stall at XYZ. Come visit us. Okay, what question? Maybe you could be like on Sundays you could do AMAs, right? Ask me anything. You figure out a way what works for your brand, and then you put it out on days. That's how you create a community, right? Just don't post and forget. You tell them, okay, this is what we are doing, this is what we are doing, this is what we are doing. Probably jab right hook, right? You tell them this. Okay, now we worked for on this product that you asked for the entire month, or for the past 6 months we have been working on this product. This is live now. That's the time you sell. Don't just sell every day on story. Connect. That's how we started, right? Creating a community. So that's, I think that's very important that people forget. So that was very important touch point.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but maybe we will touch on this in maybe another episode or so. But create a community for sure. That's important.
Yeah, that's important. No matter what you sell, no matter what business you are in, community is really, really important. And the days we are going towards, like the AI and stuff, no matter what you create, community is where you gonna land
even
up.
AI characters have communities these days. Who why shouldn't we?
So if you didn't know, welcome to 2024.
Cool. All right, I think we'll wrap up there. But for everyone, I'm serious. Comments. There's a lot of stuff that we can still cover. So Kalyan, I think he offered to be there personally to respond to comments and stuff. So that's there. Follow him on LinkedIn. Follow us, like, share, subscribe, and all of that. You know the drill.
Absolutely.
To It's Rendering on social media as well as national media. And yeah, just let us know suggestions and what you would like to learn about, and we're happy to help. So thank you, Kalyan. Really appreciate you. I know we had slotted a certain time for today, but you've gone above that. But thank you for not rushing through it. Thank you very much, man.